This is the story of Qing Feng, who woke up in a parallel world in the past. Amidst the Southern Alliance's Yunyang base city, there was a colony made for lowly drifters. In it, a girl called Chuchu broke Qing Feng's sleep, saying that he needed to report to Captain Chen. When he woke up, he called out her name and hugged her dearly, for she was dead in his world, and he thought he was dreaming. But Chuchu slapped him for the abrupt hug, making him return to reality as he thought it might not be a dream. Then he looked around and found out that that day was 2019, 3 years in the past. Just at that moment, an abrupt headache brought many memories of this world, and he found out that this was a parallel world similar to his past world but yet different, as elemental power dominated the world instead of money and politics. In this world, elemental beasts ran rampant. While humans hide in the city, some of the humans awaken a dormant power within them called elemental ability, which lets them each control different elements. While Qing Feng was adapting himself to this world, Chuchu again warned him that he needed to report to Captain Chen. Just at that moment, loud knocks were heard from the door as the captain barged in, while reprimanding Qing Feng for not going to the weekly meeting. Chuchu replied in a shaking tone that Qing was about to leave for the meeting. The captain, a half-elementalist, said it was their turn for routine patrol for a week. When Qing asked why so soon since they were not even adults, Captain Chen said that it was the decision of the higher-ups as their guardian Zuo Li died while patrolling the city when she encountered a Black Panther. Chuchu immediately cried hearing it, and Qing Feng was even more surprised since Aunt Zuo Li was killed in an accident by a black leopard car in his previous life, which is oddly similar to dying to a Black Panther. His guess of this being a parallel world was even more confirmed. The captain then added that according to the Zuo Li's will, her pension would be left to the siblings as she didn't have any relatives alive. Qing Feng then thought that even if he could survive in the patrol outside of the base city, there's no way a girl like Chu would be able to make it out alive. Although they were both orphans and weren't related by blood, still, they grew up like a family. And he had already lost Chuchu in the old world and should prevent history from repeating itself. So he asked the captain and said that he would do the job for Chuchu. But the captain said that it was not possible since they were but drifters, and they must know that drifters are the lowest among the ranks of citizens, which goes from civilians, citizens, and elementalists. Moreover, since the food shortage is a huge issue in the city, the higher-ups won't allow any useless people to leech off of them. Then he told her that he could help her by promoting her to the citizen status, which would let her wait until she's 18 before she could become a citizen. And in order to promote her, he needs to earn promotion points by hunting vicious beasts, demonic beasts. But he warned that if one is not an elementalist, then they must never try that. Then he added that Qing Feng could also use a simple method, which is using 10 million credits, which will advance her directly to the next level of status. Qing Feng was depressed, as even adding all their assets would just amount to a few thousand. And they couldn't even escape the city, as the city was the safest place in this chaotic area. So Captain Chen said that if he could become an elementalist, then everything would be solved slowly, but he added that even he was just half elementalist. And before he left, he reminded the siblings to report in 3 days. In the room, Qing Feng comforted Chuchu, who was crying, and said that he would become an elementalist no matter what it took. And his intense desire for strength awakened the dormant power in his body as a blue screen appeared in his vision. And it introduced itself as a divine elementalist training system, which made him excited beyond belief, as those with the talents to become an elementalist are exceedingly rare. And as soon as one is found to have talent, they would be raised from birth with the government's funding. So Qing Feng got into a quiet alley where no pedestrians walked and tested the system for what it could do. Then it began loading something, and when it finished loading, it showed him his talents, which were 0.7 at wind affinity, thunder affinity, and 0.5 at ice affinity. And the end result was that he didn't possess any substantial points in any of those affinities, as such unable to become an elementalist. Qing Feng complained, saying if he really had an affinity, then he would not be a drifter in the first place. Thus, the system gave out its first reward as a novice reward, which was wind affinity. Soon after, the talent of wind was fused with his body, which gave out a green aura symboling wind. What shocked him even more was the affinity that he was fused with was of a supreme rank. And he knew even the city lord of the Yun-Yang city base had only a genius rank affinity. Not to mention that most of the elementals across the world only possess average rank talent. And there are only 7 people in the world that have supreme ranked talents. And all of those 7 people became 9th start elementalist really fast thanks to their supreme grade talent, which made them the true controller of this world. But the system didn't finish giving out rewards, as it also gave him an elemental cultivation technique, along with an innate skill called Holy Grade Devour, which allows the host to devour any astral or demonic beast core. But the damn rewards were not finished, as a beast core of wind element ranking level 4 was also gifted. These beast cores are what fuel the energy of those monsters. Even the scientists are researching it thoroughly, and it was known all over that it was a bad idea to eat the cores directly. But if the skill from the system is as good as it is said, then he should be able to gain some benefits after devouring it. And just as he expected, after devouring it, the elemental wind energy permeated through his body as the system notification informed him that he had reached the late stage of the body-strengthening realm, which improved his wind cultivation by 84%. And once it reached 100%, he would be able to form the sacred wind seal and be able to become a 1-star elementalist. Then it shouldn't take long for him to become a 9-star elemental. Then a quest was issued by the system, which told him to let his wind cultivation base reach 100%, and it also gave out the choice of difficulty, which was proportionate to the rewards. The normal difficulty had a time limit of 3 days, and the reward was a storage ring. The mid difficulty had a time limit of 2 days, with prizes of a storage ring and a Thunder Beast core of grade 4. And lastly, the extreme difficulty had to be completed within only 2 hours, and it will enhance his thunder affinity along with the reward of the mid difficulty. He hurriedly calculated and found out that if grade 4 core can improve his cultivation to 84%, then he will need another grade 2 beast core to reach 100% completion, and if he could sum up 100,000 credits, then it would be possible to buy it. And with Aunt Zuo Li's 50,000 pension, he will be 50,000 short. Just as the system was counting down on his decision, he finally found a solution to his poverty and quickly accepted the extreme difficulty. An hour later, he arrived at the town center, which had a tall building. Despite living in the town for so long, it was his first time getting near the town center. His goal was to promote himself into an upper-class citizen by showing his wind affinity, gaining him incentive money. He was greeted by a receptionist who introduced herself as Zhao Liu. So he asked the receptionist about where he needed to go to become an upper-class citizen, which made the girl shocked, for he was too young to be thinking of being promoted to an upper-class citizen. Everyone was shocked as there was a big difference between an upper-class citizen and a common citizen, as an upper-class citizen would even be able to get away after killing a common citizen. And none would simply prank about wanting to become an upper-class citizen. So the receptionist believed him and asked him to follow her. In the VIP promotion lounge, the green-haired director named Wang Zheng asked Xiao Liu about Qing Feng, so she told him that he wanted to promote himself to an upper-class citizen. Even Wang Zhen was shocked, for Qing didn't look like a wealthy guy, and an upper-class citizen is usually someone wealthy or an expert, at least, at the body-strengthening realm. Then he was informed about the levels of upper citizenship and its requirements. It turned out that the early stage of body strengthening will have a monthly allowance of 10,000 with the first-class title, and the middle-class citizens are eligible for promotion to the second class with an allowance of 20,000, and a late stage can get a monthly allowance of 30,000, and lastly, the grand perfection stage experts of body strengthening who receive a monthly allowance of 40,000 with the fourth-class title. Then he was asked about his proof of strength or money, so he showed his control of the wind element and revealed the early level of the body-strengthening realm, which would promote him to the first rank. But Qing Feng told the director to not hurry as he revealed his late body-strengthening realm and asked to promote him to the third class. The receptionist and the director was both surprised because he was so young but already at the late stage of body strengthening. After the paperwork was finished, he received a promotion salary of 600,000. And of course, he will receive a monthly allowance of 30,000 credits, too. He was happy that he would be able to comfortably buy beast cores with this amount of money. He then also received a smartphone that had no call limit. He accepted it as no call limit function were a luxury in that day and age, but he didn't get drowned in the sudden joy since he needed to urgently complete the quest, so he left as the director and the receptionist saw him off. The director then told Xiao Liu that if Ching Feng came to the office again, then directly send him to the VIP office. Xiao Liu nodded and asked if the director could give Xiao Liu Ching Feng's phone number, but was rejected by the director as he said that she and Ching Feng were not of the same world anymore because someone as talented as Qin Feng wouldn't be contained by the Yunyang city. 1 hour later, near the Administrator Plaza in a random alley, Qin Feng took out a second-grade wind element beast stone that he bought for 100,000 and ate it, which activated his heavenly devouring skill as his assimilation of wind element reached 100%, which immediately completed his hard difficulty mission. When he checked his storage ring from the rewards, he was dumbfounded, for it was large enough to store an entire building, while the regular storage rings sold in the market were nowhere comparable to this. Then the next reward came as his dormant lightning affinity was increased, along with the promised grade 4 core of the lightning beast. He quickly devoured the core, too, which improved his lightning element cultivation to 85%, and also leveled him up to the grand perfection of body strengthening. However, his prowess was beyond a body-strengthening perfection-level person, as they only have a battle prowess of around 100 points. In contrast, his battle prowess is around 243, which was the cause of having both thunder and the wind elemental cores. He was curious, thinking if he got a third element, how much would his prowess increase compared to the same rank? As though the system just read his memory, he was issued with a quest that told him to strengthen his body with ice elements, too, which had no time limit, luckily. He couldn't help but dream about his future or how strong he could become with 3 elements compared to the other 9th star ranked masters. But his dream was broken by a call from his sister as she told him to hurry for dinner. But he instead asked her to an expensive restaurant and said that they would have dinner outside. In the restaurant, Chuchu was complaining about how it was a waste of money to be eating in this restaurant while they might just die in 3 days in patrol. But Ching Feng said to not worry and assured that he would promote Chuchu to the aristocratic citizen. Chuchu thought he was teasing her as even rich people aren't necessarily granted aristocratic citizenship. But Qin Feng said that he wasn't kidding, so Chu asked if he had struck any lottery recently. But before he could say anything, the TV turned on automatically with a piece of news that said Lin Tianyan from Yuanyang City had successfully become a 1-star elementalist as the youngest to become an elementalist. He was surprised and realized that people becoming 1-star elementalist at the age of 24 is deemed that much respect. So what would happen if people knew that he could become a 1-star elementalist when even younger than Lin Tian? Then Chuchu explained after watching the news that a lot of people only become elementalist after they are 40 to 50. But Ling Tian was worthy of being called the first genius of this base city, for he is just 24 and became an elementalist. He then said, "How come Captain Chen looked 30 if he was 45? Chu then explained that the lifespan of the elementalist increases after each rank up, so that makes them look way younger than they actually are. Then Chuchu left the topic and again asked if he had struck a lottery recently. So Qin Fang said that he became an upper echelon citizen as he showed her the ID card. Chuchu was shocked and asked how is that possible. Qin didn't say anything but said that she didn't need to know. She just needed to trust him. Chuchu hugged Qin Feng as she started crying. Qin Feng comforted her and told her to quit her job. Chuchu nodded and said that she would stay at home every day and cook good food. On the way home, when Qing was giving a piggyback to Chuchu, he finally remembered the identity of Lin Tianyang from his past life. Lin Tianyan was the brother of Lin Shuyang, and Lin Shuyang was the one who ran over and killed Chuchu in the future. There were witnesses of the accident, and also the CCTV cameras captured clear footage. But despite all that proof, the authorities betrayed justice as they deleted all the footage, and witness also spoke in favor of Lin due to threats which made Ling Shuyang walk free from the court. All happened due to the Lin family being very rich and powerful. But Qing didn't give up and started collecting evidences from everywhere, and it was during that time that he found out that Lin Shuyang had a brother who was studying abroad called Ling Tianyang. but he wasn't able to find any evidence. But he had a vague feeling that Lin family had some ulterior motive to kill Chuchu, who was just an orphan. But that was not important since this world is parallel to the previous world. Then, there was a high chance that the same disaster would happen again, and 2 days later, it was the day of Chuchu's accident in his world. So he must protect her at all costs 3 days later. For that, he needed to become even stronger, for he was unsure if Ling Shu Yang was also in this world. The next day, he went to the city hall again and showed his cultivation to get promoted. Director was shocked, as Qin was just 17 and had already reached the grand perfection stage of body strengthening with the wind element, and thought that Qin Fang's achievement might surpass the city lord in the future. But Qin Feng knew better, since he also reached the grand perfection realm of the thunder element after the last night's training. An ordinary genius wouldn't be able to reach this stage even after 3 years, while it took him just a single night. While the documents for promotion were being prepared, the director asked Qin if he needed anything else. So Qin took advantage of this man and asked him if he could give an identity token to his younger brother, who would be coming here from another city. Director said it was a trivial matter, and that he would arrange it all by himself. Soon after, he received a message on his phone as it said his 4th-ranked citizen card number. After that, the director told him that the work was done, so Qin thanked them. Qin didn't show his full power, as it would endanger him and Chuchu if he rose to fame, because it would steal the limelight of Ling Tianyang. So he asked the director not to publish his strength before he left the city hall. Not long after, Qin Feng dressed up as his fake brother and appeared in front of the director and told them he was the twin of Qing Feng. But they barely believed that Qing Fang had a twin. So when asked what the reason for his visit was, he told them that he had come here, but the guards gave him a drifter's identity card, which was the lowest of the ranks. He slammed that card as his body crackled with thunder elements as he asked the director to immediately give him an upper echelon card of 4th class. The director and the receptionist almost fainted, as this brother of Qing Fang was even more genius than Qin Feng himself. Not only was he younger, but he also had a thunder element which was stronger than wind in combat. Seeing this, they believed that Qin Mu and Qin Feng were 2 different people, as it was impossible for one to have 2 different elements, and not to mention the haughty personality, which is very different from the calm Qin Feng. So they quickly finished the documents and left. The director and the receptionist duo were left in shock and wondered what kind of karma the parents of Qing Feng and Qing Mu had to give birth to 2 outstanding talents. On the way back to his home, Qin was quite satisfied by scamming the director, for he got another card and more credits. Again, he stopped at an alley and ate another thunder core that he brought from the money he earned, which improved his thunder affinity to 100%, thus completing the system mission. And as a reward for completing the mission, his ice affinity was enhanced from 0.5 to the genius level. But he was a bit depressed, seeing the ice affinity was just at the genius realm instead of being at supreme rank. Then he found out that his thunder and wind affinity was at 0.7 and the ice was just at 0.5, thus, it was harder to get enhanced. He comforted himself, saying he already had a lot of cheats, but the system didn't give him any rest as it again announced that he had completed another quest of owning the ice element. And the reward was another grade 4 core of Ice Beast. And Qing Fang immediately ate it, which improved his ice cultivation by 67%, and also the battle power increased from 243 to 417, as though every extra element increased the prowess level by double. And the prowess of a 1-star elementalist is about 500, so he was not much weaker than a 1-star elementalist now. So he was sure now that he could save Chuchu while patrolling, but his worry was only Ling Tianyang. At that time, another quest was issued by the system. It was a quest where he would enter the dungeon to battle against beasts. If he dies, he will be back from the dungeon but can try 2 more times, but each time the condition to enter the dungeon would become harsher. Seeing that he didn't waste time and accepted to enter the dungeon. Before he went in, he was gifted with a divine class martial arts technique to survive in the dungeon. Thus, he vanished from where he was and entered a world of flame and volcano. He then saw a fireball with eyes flying about, which were fire spirits of the 1st tier. He wanted to stay safe, so he killed it before it could make any attack and got a crystal core which couldn't be devoured by his skill, but could be sold to the system. Ching was ecstatic to hear that system could exchange things for money. The most important thing that he lacked at that time was money to buy elemental cores. So he went into a frenzy and killed fire spirits left and right with his newfound divine martial technique, which made him feel like he had decades of combat experience. But his massacre didn't last long as the ground beneath spewed a beam of flame which almost burned him to cinders. Just as he was backing up, he tripped and fell from the edge of the cliff down. But his luck got worse as he encountered a flaming pig which was at 1 star of the elemental stage. The system calculated and informed him that his chance of defeating it was around 40%. Then another notification appeared saying he needed to kill the boar within 10 minutes to pass the test. Soon after, the chase and run began. The boar smashed a small hill with its body while Ching Feng dodged the attack. It was smashing the walls of the cliff as Ching Feng kept dodging it. Luckily, the reflexes of this boar were really slow despite being so strong. While he was running away, he then saw another place where the fire beam was spewing out of the ground. Then an idea struck him, so he lured the boar to that place, and just as the boar charged, it was penetrated by the beam of fire. After the boar was roasted, Ching Feng got the crystal core of the boar, but unfortunately, he couldn't devour it, but could sell it for 5 million to the system, which excited him. And to top it off, the system's announcement came saying he completed his first sacred grade battle. Then he got Ice Elemental Beast Core with 1 grade 1 gene pill of perfect rank, along with a Ice Affinity Seal Fragment. He then ate the Ice Beast Core, which increased his affinity to ice elements by 30%, along with improving the cultivation of ice element to 100%. Next was the gene pill. It's something that is extracted from the beast cores. A lot of people who don't have an innate skill of an elementalist choose to use these gene pills to become stronger by becoming a gene warrior. Gene warriors were categorized into 4 ranks, from grade 1 to grade 4. But the gene pills sold in the market all have strong side effects and are sometimes life-threatening, and as the number of gene pills one takes increases, the chance of death also increases. Only 1 in 6 people survive and reach grade 4 of gene warrior. But the gene potion Ching Feng got had no side effects as it's of the perfect grade. Then the system opened its shop function and showed him more perfect grade gene potions, but all of them cost by the number of several million. He then dreamed, as with these gene potions, Chuchu would be even safer. But he was informed that the stock of the system was very low for these pills. And as it turned out, it would increase after Ching Feng increased his cultivation realm. When Chuchu did take the element test, she was found to have a 0.9 talent in some unknown talent and 0.5 in ice talent. And with this gene potion, it might even be possible to make Chuchu a strong dual elemental expert. But it was a dream of a distant future, as he first had to make Chuchu reach the 4th grade of Gene Warrior before she could become an elemental. He then sold everything he got by hunting the beasts in the dungeon to the system and purchased 1 grade 1 and 1 grade 2 gene pill, and then he ate both of them, which increased his combat prowess to an estimated value of 570. Then he consumed the last reward, an ice deity fragment, which increased his formation of the divine level mark to 30%. Generally, it takes a lot of time to improve the divine level mark of an element, even by a bit. So he was ecstatic, as it was no less of a miracle. After every reward was sorted out, he was forced out of the dungeon as he appeared in the same place he disappeared from. Right after that, the system informed him that he could make use of the second chance of the dungeon to get in and reap even more rewards, but it warned that the difficulty would be greater than before. But he didn't accept it, as he needed to be even stronger. Later, he went to an arms shop and bought weapons and landmines to prepare for the patrol. And the weapons were surprisingly cheaper than he expected, since they were not that useful against the beast's tough defense. Just as he glided and slid through the alley, he accidentally saw a noble lady pissing. The lady screamed and called him a pervert, so Ching Feng had no choice but to run. Then the maid of the lady came out with weapons in her hand. Since he was not faster than bullets, he had no choice but to enter the second dungeon, so the system immediately embraced and pulled him in the dungeon. Outside, the maid and the lady were surprised because he had just vanished, and the lady started crying and blamed her father, the city lord. She complained that if her dad didn't force her drink so much spiritual water to increase her ice cultivation, then she wouldn't need to be pissing in the streets. When he entered the netherworld, he saw that it was filled with elemental beasts of 6th grade, but his surprise turned into horror as he saw a skeleton-like monster killing the level 6 horses like vegetables. Then, just like the previous time, the system issued a clear condition which was to kill this skeleton in 10 minutes.